So playing a team for the second time, has anything ever really changed when you're game planning or kind of approaching a team that you've already faced once?
Yeah, good question. I think we look at their last 3 games. Really, I think you look at statistics, you look at their rotations, kind of what actions they've went to during their last 3 games, and try to come up with a game plan. Certainly, you can learn a lot from your first experience, whether you win, you lose. You got to be able to make adjustments, right? I think that's the area that we're struggling with. Collectively, we all got to be better. I think, from a game plan strategy, as you implement a game plan, we can't have the scouting errors throughout the game. So I think we got to remind those guys throughout the game better, and just continue to do it collectively. And I think it starts, obviously setting the tone defensively, and then carrying out some adjustments throughout the game.
This team is a little different because they got Memba back and Jorgensen's been playing lately, so
Yeah, way different. Jorgensen, in my opinion, when healthy, is a first-team All-League player. He's got major size, at 6'9", 6'10". He can score on the block, he can shoot threes, he can drive from the mid-post. Bemba is a really, really good player. He's got winning DNA, won the NCAA tournament game last year, won a tournament championship. What they provide for their team is invaluable, right? Just the winning DNA. So they're healthy, right? They're obviously feeling good. They've got their full team ready to go, and we know it's going to be a great challenge.
You mentioned driving kind of from the mid-post. That seems to have been a problem you face with some of the bigs, Taron Jones, Hamilton, even go back to Jaden Henley. Those guys that have size and some mobility seem to have caused problems with their ability to just drive to the paint and get chaos.
Yeah, it's, dealing with long, athletic, 6'9", 6'10" guys that have the ability to take 1 or 2 dribbles and shoot over top of you, right? So we have to do a much better job of chesting drives and really helping each other, supporting drives in our gaps, right? We played a lot of, we're not very good at guarding isolations, right? So when they isolate, we have to be able to, guard the ball, but it's a team game, right? So it's not just the guy in the ball, it's 4 guys behind the ball in their positioning, stopping the ball and then inching out, right? We've gotten beat 2 games in a row in the paint by long, athletic players, and we have to be able to adjust to that.
You talk about learning from the first game now, almost halfway through conference play. The game that you blew them out in that fashion, what are the things that you take away from that?
Yeah, I thought our attention to detail leading up to the game was critical. Typically, when you have good workouts leading into the game, good sense of urgency, play with an edge, you typically carry out the game plan, right? So I thought yesterday was really good. Today's got to be exceptional. Charter and get there, get relaxed, get off our feet. Watch more film tonight and just get better, as I said, carrying out, you got to play for 40 minutes, right? Every game is difficult. On the road is harder, certainly, but every game in college basketball is a challenge. But I think your prep is a big part of, your success, right? How much attention to detail, and then you got to be able to carry those things out throughout the game.
You do have some size against the guards in this matchup, like a little bit more size.
Yeah,
they've got good guards, but
yeah, Drake, usually go in every game. Drake's 6'4", 6'4.5", strong. They're going to be physical with us off ball. They run a lot of off ball screens. We play a similar style. They're a little more deliberate. We're a little bit strike early in the clock. But this game offensively, the key is going to be spacing, right? We have to give each other space. We look discombobulated the last couple games. You run an action, it's not there. To me, that's really what offense is. Typically most good defenses are going to sit on the first action, but then how do you get to your second and third options throughout the play? And that's really playing out of your concepts, and it's giving each other space.
You obviously played a lot of games here in a tight window, and this is another one where it's Tuesday night and Friday, last weekend, Wednesday to Saturdays. What does that take mentally, physically from you?
It's a lot. It's certainly a lot. One thing that we learned, last week was we should have chartered the trip to Phoenix. Sounds like an easy trip, but when you bus and then you wait for about 40 minutes and you get on a plane for an hour and a half, then you bus, throw your stuff down, go shoot, go to dinner. Next, you know, it's 9 o'clock for a noon game. That's on the coaches. That's on us. We should have chartered that trip. But the rest of the way, we have charters, which is awesome. So we've got to understand this is the schedule, not make excuses about the schedule. We're not in different time zones. There's a lot of other teams around the country that got it much harder than us. We're playing basketball. We're not, doctors. We're not, we don't have excuses, right? Like there shouldn't be any excuses for travel or the number of games. We use a scientific approach. We're not wearing them down in practice. Everything is measured. There's no guessing. There's no overdoing it. Brandon Buskey, Trevor Short, they pretty much set the practice template. This is how long you're able to practice, and then we've got to, as coaches, figure out within that time frame what's the most important keys to the game. I think sometimes you worry about the other team too much. I think we've done that lately. We need to worry about us and get better doing what we do, and then have a clear vision. And when you go into a game, sometimes, those things that you thought were going to happen are not going to happen. So then you got to be able to adjust. And I think, our coaching the last 2 games, we haven't adjusted. I think our players' attention to detail, we haven't adjusted. So you live and you learn, right? You're going to go through tough patches, tough stretches. We are what we are. We got to do better at what we do. What we've done has been pretty good. Our defensive numbers have dropped off drastically. So to me, it's going to start and end with our defensive presence on the ball, sitting down, guarding the ball, and having force support the ball. Our bigs got to provide some rim protection, right? They got to get off, block some shots, show their body, and show length.
So how do you try and, obviously you started the season really well and you have a couple of games where things haven't gone well. How do you try and push these guys to get back to what they were without having them get maybe too down on themselves?
Yeah, I think that's what, being on a team is, right? It's the greatest thing ever. You have to rely on other people. You can't do it on your own. You gotta own it, right? As coaches, after every game, we typically own it. Here's what we could have did better. Here's what we saw. Whether we tell you guys that or not, we're telling our team, right? Like it starts with me owning the mistakes that the coaches made, right? Sometimes when you sub guys in, they make you look great. Sometimes when it doesn't work out, you got to be able to adjust, right? So playing green in a game is really important, not letting one play affect the next. Whether you're up 10, up 14, whatever the case may be, the game's not over till the final scoreboard, right? So I don't think our guys, have a good taste in their mouth. So hopefully they're ready to roll. I thought yesterday's approach was great. Today's need to be good, and just really present the facts. Here's the facts, right? Your defense is slacked. Our offense, affects your defense. You got to be good on both sides of the ball. Just get better in all facets of the game, right? Like, there's going to be a lot of stretches where, teams struggle. I talked to a really good coach of a top 10 team a week ago. They're out of the top 10. They've lost 3 games in a row. You rely on others, right? How are you dealing with your team? You talk to your leaders of your team. The great thing that I have is I've got guys that are competitive people, but we're going through it together for the first time. And typically that's going to happen every year because you're probably going to have a new team, right, every year. So you got to be able to adjust, and you got to be able to motivate, right? Like that's what being on a team is.
Not to give away game plan with you, I know with some of the combinations of the night, do you change some of?
Yeah, we got a mass email with lineup data. What's our best offensive lineup? What's our best defensive lineup? Who's going to give us the best chance in the last 5 minutes defensively? Those are things that you got to go above and beyond a box score, right? We have a big sample size. We know now what some of those lineups are, and we got to go to them. And you got to trust the numbers. And then throughout the game, maybe somebody's playing really well. You got to trust that guy. Typically we've been pretty good in that. The last 2 games, some of those lineups haven't been so good, right? And we've got to learn from that, get better from that, and adjust.
You had a stretch last year that was kind of similar to this, some of the same issues, a couple losses at Colorado State, at Boise State. Between you and your staff and then the returning players, what did that kind of teach you last year that maybe you could apply to this situation?
Yeah, strategically we changed a lot defensively. I think you got to collectively guard the basketball. That's the biggest key, staying out of rotations. With Colorado State, as soon as they get an edge and they get to the paint and they kick, they're one of the best three-point shooting teams. So it's not necessarily the shot, it's the drive leading to the shot. Can you contain the drive, whether that's in a pick and roll? They run a lot of off-ball screens. Those are the keys to figuring it out. And it's usually not the first shot, Mark, that gets you. It's usually the second, right? It's rebounding. So when you get out rebounded by 8 or 9, you're at a major disadvantage. So you got to have the ability and the toughness to finish plays when you're not stealing the basketball, right? And that's, we have struggled with big athletic teams over the course of my 2 years, right? Like, let's call it like it is. Any time we see 6'9", 6'10" guys, we have struggled, right? The last 2 games, you saw that in Grand Canyon, you saw that. So we've got to be able to adjust to that. We've got to coach that better. All things got to get better in that department.